Natalie?
Yes. Am I in trouble?
No, you're not. On our Friday evening, we meet here once again.
Yes.
Yeah, it's been a while actually, and I thought it would be nice to in light of our group session that we're having on Tuesday at 7:30, to chat a little bit about the topic which we have chatted about before, positive transformation, for those who might not know, because I didn't know about it before I met you, and now it's become such a thing during lockdown, and something that I'm so glad I came to know a little bit about, and I want to know more about. But yeah, so thanks for that, and I want to share it with everyone. So that's why we're going to have a private group.
It's exciting stuff.
Yeah, but firstly, how have you been in lockdown? And now that we are phasing out of it, we hope. How's it been going for you?
It's actually been great for me. I'm not going to lie. I do most of my work online. So I do my life coaching online. So it really hasn't affected me too much. Not in any significant way. I haven't had to change my life. So I've been one of the lucky few who hasn't been affected too negatively by this. It's also given me a lot of time to work on content because I'm busy writing programs. So I've had a lot of time to work on content and just reflect on things as well, you know. So I've actually been good. I've been good. Yeah.
I imagine that having mastered the art of positive transformation, it could only have been, everything positive and more for you. That's not to discount that it, times would also have been hard. But I mean, you've got the tools, is what I'm saying, because a lot of people in lockdown, like myself in the beginning, didn't. And I went kicking and screaming into lockdown. And that didn't go so well. And then I decided, okay, well, now lockdown's getting extended, so I need to come up with a plan. And then I met you and many other amazing coaches who have been listening to, as well as sharing everything on the group with. But also, apart from transformation coaching, you also do recovery coaching through your platform, Thriving in Recovery.
Yes.
I know we haven't spoken about that a lot, but we're going to next month, which is great. And yeah, so we've been doing a lot of content on addiction and recovery, but you mostly recovery, is that right?
Yeah, mostly recovery. That's where my real passion lies. But at the end of the day, the solutions for recovery and the solutions for positive transformation are the same underneath, because the addiction really doesn't have very much to do with the substance at all. It's all to do with struggling to cope with emotions and, wanting to avoid pain, basically. So as much as I can say my passion lies with the addiction coaching, in actual fact, the solutions to both positive transformation and having a thriving life in recovery, it's the same solution. But because I'm in recovery myself, and I know that place of desperation that you get to, where you literally feel towards the end like you are hopeless. And for me to be able to reach into somebody's life who is prepared to reach out to me and trust me and to pull them out of that crap and into the light of sobriety, as they say. Sorry to sound a bit corny, but it really is like that. It really is like stepping into the sun. And that for me is just so gratifying. And it's just, I can't really describe the feeling and the satisfaction and the joy that it brings me to be able to facilitate that healing in someone. And it's not really about me. I was speaking to somebody earlier this afternoon and saying, it's not me who facilitates the change. I'm like the GPS, really. I can head people in the right direction so that they don't keep going in circles and doing the same thing. And I am truly passionate about it.
I resonate with what you're saying about, I think people also, in terms of recovery, associate that with, and as much as it is usually about, addiction, and substance addiction. And I was chatting about this with Dr. Bob the other day, that it doesn't, for a lot of us, necessarily mean substance addiction, and that we can be recovering from so many things, and the things that we use to cope with, whether it's a mental condition or just stress and anxiety, which so many of us have had to deal with in lockdown, from job loss or business closure or relationship struggles, family turmoil, whatever it is. And before lockdown, going throughout our lives, we haven't all necessarily been using the healthiest or the most positive ways to deal with them. And we've been suppressing a lot of emotions and feelings. And I think, and I keep saying this and it grows a bit profound, that maybe COVID-19 has also been a way for people to sit and evaluate, or to realize that what we've been doing to cope hasn't been working, and that this is a direct result of that, is all the craziness that's going on in the world right now, not discounting obviously the health issues associated with COVID. It's terrible, but the other pandemic related with that, and that we need to sit and maybe just take stock of that, and that we're some of us are now in a different kind of recovery from that, so that we can find new ways of coping, going into the new normal with healthier ways. And it's amazing, because I've now, coming into lockdown, never would have thought that I would have reevaluated things completely for myself, in terms of my connections with friends, family, work, health. It's all changed for me now. Not changed, I haven't completely reinvented the wheel, but my thinking about it has changed. And I think that's, for me, the renewal part of it, that another coach, Rochelle, our mind and body coach, spoke about as well, that shift, and maybe my positive transformation, I hope, but my recovery.
Yeah, and I think that is, you've kind of hit the nail on the head there. It is not reinventing the wheel, and it isn't, it's not actually changing everything in your life, but it really is opening your eyes to a new perspective. So receiving life in a different way and viewing life in a different way. And that's really where the transformation comes in, because at the end of the day, the stuff in your life is generally the same. The people are pretty much the same. Often the routine is the same. But what happens on a journey of positive transformation is you actually learn to view the world differently. And you realize that there's this really good saying, and I love it. It says that 10% is what actually happens, right? So the event or the circumstance or the situation. 90% of your reality is created by how you respond to it. So by learning different coping mechanisms and opening your mind up to actually, even just being willing to view the world in a different way, can just transform your life. Even though it appears that nothing around you has changed, everything has changed from within. And I think that you are also spot on when you say that, I've thought about this COVID thing, and a lot of people don't like my view on this. It might be a bit like woohoo, like out there. But I think that as a collective, like the human race, we have basically annihilated this planet, okay? And we are in the process of annihilating each other as well. And I almost feel like, and many will disagree, and that's totally fine, I almost feel like this is the universe saying, do you know what? The big middle finger, that's it. You oaks will slow down. You will stop this stuff. You will start to reflect. So this whole thing of the social distancing and the lockdown was actually designed to keep people apart. And what I'm finding happening now is that this catastrophe, this global catastrophe, has actually brought so many people together Even this group, for instance, just taking one example, but also people that you wouldn't normally speak to. People are reaching out. The times are uncertain, and I think we've been forced into a situation where, look, we're on level 3 now, so it's not that bad. But in the beginning, we were literally kind of locked in your house. There isn't anything else to do except to reflect. And a lot of us have realized that, hang on, this is not what I want for my life. I'm on the wrong path here. Like, I'm not actually happy. And I've been too busy to realize that I'm not happy. So it's been a major time of reflection. I think it has been a time of healing. It's also with the Black Lives Matter as well. It's also brought a lot of other issues to the fore which need to be dealt with so urgently. And I think it's just made the world pay attention.
Yeah.
So for me, yeah, I mean, it's bloody awful. Like you said, the illness itself and the death and all the tragedies that go along with the pandemic is awful. But at the same time, like, if we don't learn from this and we don't get anything out of it, then all that suffering was in vain. If you know what I mean.
Yeah. I remember as well last time we spoke about I mean, for me, my sort of consciousness during this whole thing, because before I've realized I've become so detached from myself because we're so busy with work and, you know, trying to hustle and be, you know, live your best life, that we actually become so detached from who we really are, or just in touch with that person. And through that, we develop this almost a sense of we're too busy to just be honest with ourselves and other people and to talk about things, which again, lockdown gave us the opportunity to do that if we realize that and we're willing to. And now, since we've been doing that a lot, Taryn, who I know you know as well through the group, I think it was last week when she phoned me, I spoke about this on Dr. Bob's thing as well, and she said, Bear, I feel like the world has gone batshit crazy. And, you know, that's when everything erupted with the Black Lives Matter and everything else, because, I mean, everyone is just frustrated and all these things that have been suppressed and people aren't hearing and people aren't listening. And I said, well, yeah, the world has gone crazy because people haven't had the opportunity to speak out and people haven't been listening. And I think that, again, it's a direct result of we haven't had the space and this opportunity, social spaces as well, to speak freely without fear of being minimized or shamed, to be vulnerable, and that's what we need. So yeah, okay, maybe going a little bit off topic with this, but what I did want to come back to, and then it will make sense, is last time you spoke about the journey to unbecoming, and I love that whole description because it really has, for me, it sort of summarizes my whole experience of lockdown since you and I first chatted. And I was listening last time, but I was also managing the Zoom side of things. But it's so weird how my subconscious really did pay attention, and it keeps popping up. And I've been relaying that description to so many friends who've also come to me who've been a little bit shy on the group, and I'm trying to encourage them they don't have to air their stuff, just listen and, you know, partake. And I used your description, and they're, you know, the ears are, you know, perking, so they're going to join in the group on Tuesday, which is great. So I want to try this share thing, so I could just quickly show. It's a quick 1.5 minute clip. Okay. Here we go.
The process of transformation, a lot of people think that transformation is about becoming something else, becoming something new, becoming something more or something better. And what I've found with transformational coaching is really it's the opposite. It's about unbecoming all the crap that you've collected over the course of your life. And I often use an analogy to explain the undoing. And that is, if you know the little sticky post-it notes. Okay. Yeah. So every time, if you go through your life and you think about every experience that you've had, first of all, the human brain, we discard the good experiences almost instantly as soon as they happen. The negative experiences we hang on to and we begin to obsess about. So if you took every negative experience that happens to you in your life, each time something happens, you take a post-it and you label it. Let's say in grade 8, my teacher told me that I'm going to amount to nothing in life, right? So on my little post-it, I write, I'm useless. And then I take that post-it and I stick it on myself, right? Then my parents get divorced. So I write down, I see that as I'm unlovable or I'm guilty. And I post that, I put that on myself. My boyfriend breaks up with me for somebody prettier. I'm not good enough. I write that on my post-it and I put it on that. And I put it onto me. And as I go through life, I go through all these experiences. And every time something bad happens, I put it onto myself as a label. And what happens is, over the years, we start confusing the things that happen to us with who we are. Instead of it being something that happened to me, it becomes who I am, which is absolute rubbish. But that is what we tell ourselves, and that is what we believe. And so by the time we get to our 30s, if you can imagine all the post-it notes that would be on you with every negative thing that's ever happened to you in your whole life, you actually can't even see your body anymore. You can't even see what's underneath there. And in the same way, if you take that analogy and you say, every time something bad happens, you put a negative label onto yourself. In your 30s, 40s, you are so covered up with labels, you actually forget who you are.
Yeah, so that was just a little recap because we've had quite a few new members since then, so instead of you having to explain that all again. But yeah, so that's resonated so much since we last spoke, and I'm looking forward to opening up that conversation again on Tuesday at 7:30, and we're going to have that as a group members only in a private group chat. So I'll be sending out the Zoom link invites for everyone that is going to be attending. So make sure you RSVP if you would like to attend. That's on the Facebook group event page. But yeah, Natalie, I don't know if there's anything else you want to, since then, reflect on in light of that, maybe for people who are feeling, I think, still particularly negative, maybe, just to maybe give them a bit of encouragement, or maybe not to be those kind of people. Be like, be happy, this is going to be good for you.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think that at the moment there's a lot of fear, like generally there's a lot of fear because, let's be honest, there's a lot of uncertainty, and with uncertainty comes fear. And the only way to really, and I think I have spoken about this with you before, the only way to really cope with fear is to ask yourself, is what I'm freaking out about, is that happening now? Or is it something that I am projecting? Am I running with a thought and it's ending up in some catastrophic situation? Or perhaps I am ruminating on something that I wish hadn't happened in the past. Because normally our fear isn't sitting in the present with us. So that is something, that is a major tool, and it is difficult, but it's something that can be learned. So I would say, keep trying to bring yourself back to the present. That is because in the present, everything is okay, and the present is where life is happening. So actually life is okay. If you bring yourself out of your head and into reality, life is generally okay. And then I think also just to be careful of expectations, because at the end of the day, the person with the most emotional and mental flexibility is the person who's going to be able to cope the best with this uncertainty as they come out of COVID, because we don't know what the world is going to look like after this. We know it's going to be different, but we don't know how we're going to be affected personally. And so I think that one needs to keep an open mind and just practice being emotionally and mentally flexible, open, because most unhappiness comes from an unrealized expectation. They actually say an expectation is a premeditated resentment. So if you go out there with zero expectations and just with an open heart and an open mind, I think you may be pleasantly surprised.
It's like that saying, fear is a liar. And I always used to think, no, it's not. Fear is crap. But it makes sense, I guess. Because the way you think about it, I guess, is not the perception you have of it. If you unpack it, it's not quite the way that you're perceiving it. And you change your perception, then it doesn't have to rule you that way.
Exactly. So fear is often the master, and we are the slaves. So depending on how scared we are about something, that will determine our actions around it. So if I'm absolutely terrified about something, you can be damn sure that I'm going to take the course of action that is going to avoid any possibility of me experiencing any kind of discomfort or pain. But the point is that that is where the growth happens, when you go through the discomfort and through the pain. So that's really how you take your power back from your fearful mind, is to say, you know what, acknowledge the fear, it's there, okay, and I'm terrified, but I'm not going to be a slave to my mind. So do it anyway and tell that fear, thank you very much for sharing, you know?
Yeah. I did this this thing last week. Again on Dr. Bob's platform, he had this video called Facing Your Inner Demons. And I had to go back to my fears. And the only way for me to overcome certain childhood stuff and also bad coping mechanisms was for me to stand up and like face my inner demons. But I find what helps as well is if you surround yourself with other people who can almost aspire to, who become like, I don't want to say hero because I don't believe in putting people on a whatever, but or people who can show you the right tools to use and who can lift you and make you go, do you know what, you've got this, like you're stronger than you think. And people who are going to cheer you on and almost like I have this like really cool image in my head of these people like walking alongside you as you are facing this fear, and they're there on the other side if you get through that, but you've got to do it alone because you can't rely on other people. But yeah, so I've had some like really vulnerable times in COVID, like with career and family and everything, so but I had to take a lot of those sort of steps, and having supportive people, and you've got to be I think you've got to be smart about the people you, I'm not saying you have to go and chuck out people, but there's certain times where it's who you turn to is really important. And you might just have to say to some people, look, I just need some space for a while. Don't, everyone calls me Care Bear, but sometimes I also need Care Bears. Care Bears need Care Bears too. And then you can go back to the other people and go back to being a Care Bear when you're stronger. But I found that helps.
Absolutely. No, it really does. And we need support. I think half of our problem as human beings is that we feel that we have to do it on our own. And that's the bullshit part. That's, you're not supposed to get through all this stuff on your own. And if you can find a group of like-minded people, and people who, they don't even need to be like-minded, but people with whom you identify, and people who you can relate to, you will find that almost everybody has the same freaking base fears. We have the same problems, whether you're living in South Africa, whether you're living in America, whether you're living in Iceland. You will be having problems of expectations, self-esteem, fear, uncertainty. We all share the same problems, and it just seems absurd once you've been able to trust people to help you through. It just seems absurd that you struggled for all those years on your own when all this help is available.
Yes.
And, you know, as soon as you become vulnerable, as soon as you are prepared to become vulnerable and share a bit of yourself, then everybody feels safe to do the same thing. And, you know, there are just amazing people out there who they want to just support and see people shine and grow. Yes. And those are the people to gravitate towards, you know, and they're everywhere if you look for them.
Yeah. And I think it is true. I mean, I've had a fair amount of criticism for putting my stuff on a public platform. I mean, it's not public, it's a private group, but I mean, I do it because that's part of me facing my stuff, because I've always been too proud I've been taught, like, you know, we don't air our dirty laundry, and I don't see it as dirty laundry. I honestly believe that the only way this world is going to change is for people who feel vulnerable about things, or embarrassed or shamed, to be able to speak freely. And it's incredible that since I've started doing this, the amount of support and connections that I've had from people like you and all the other coaches, but also outside of that, just you realize that there are people in your life who've been waiting there all along. They've literally just been waiting for you to take that step. And those people have come back into my life, and it's so beautiful. So, and there's other people who, unfortunately, I don't know, maybe they also need to go and do their own journey, and I respect that. But yeah, it is a transformation, a positive transformation. So I'm really looking forward to our group chats on Tuesday. And
so am I. Thank you so much for inviting me to chat on Tuesday. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody as well.
Yeah, great. So guys, it's on the event on the group. Again, it's for Facebook group members only. And if you would like to bring a friend, if you feel that you are able to be vulnerable and speak freely and stuff, that's awesome. But please tell them to join the group first, and sign up, and we'll send you the Zoom invite for that. It's not recorded, it's not live, it's in a private group. Yeah, we're really looking forward to it, and we're going to hear all about this whole process of unbecoming, because it is # worth it. Yeah, so we'll see you then. Natalie, thanks so much for joining us and giving up your Friday nights.
Such a pleasure. I have no social life, so
this is a social life. That's what the platform's made for. It's an alternative. Awesome, Natalie. We'll see you next week.
Definitely. Thanks, Kira.
Cool.